As tensions continue to simmer in Eastern Europe, the West has strengthened its diplomatic efforts to evade a conflict between Russia and Ukraine. In the latest, Secretary of State Antony Blinken has said that America will seek a diplomatic solution until the Russian tanks are rolling. Blinken also said that President Joe Biden is ready to engage with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin at any time, in any format. Now, the Secretary of State made the comments while speaking to an American broadcaster, and they came a few hours after U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris warned of a real possibility of war emerging in Europe at the Munich Security Conference.
We're talking about the potential for war in Europe. I mean, let's really take a moment to understand the significance of what we're talking about. It's been over 70 years. And through those 70 years, as I mentioned yesterday, there has been peace and security. We are talking about the real possibility of war in Europe.
Speaking on the situation in Ukraine and the recent reports of clashes in the eastern part of the country, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has said that Russia was planning what could be the biggest war in Europe since 1945. Johnson made the comments while speaking to the British public broadcaster. Listen in.
All the signs are that the plan has already, in some senses, begun. That's what our American friends think, and you're seeing these provocations now in Donbass. You're starting to see these explosions and so on that we've been warning about for a long time. And I'm afraid to say that the plan that we're seeing is for something that could be really the biggest war in Europe since 1945, just in terms of sheer scale.
Even with over 100,000 troops deployed near Ukraine, Russia has repeatedly denied its plans to invade its neighbor, but has warned that it will not compromise on its security concerns. Speaking on which, the EU Council Chief Charles Michel said that the question that still remains is whether Russia wants a dialogue with the West, while simultaneously warning of consequences if Moscow invades its neighbor.
We cannot forever offer an olive branch while Russia conducts missile tests and continues to amass troops. But ladies and gentlemen, one thing is certain. If there is further military aggression, we will react with massive sanctions.
Germany, on the other hand, has warned that in the middle of the rising tensions, the most inappropriate thing will be to make assumptions about Russia's actions.
Wenn wir die Fakten sehen, und in Krisensituationen ist es das Ungünstigste, dass man irgendwie vermutet oder rät. Wir müssen nun vor allen Dingen darauf achten, nicht Opfer von gezielter Desinformation zu werden. Deswegen ist es so wahnsinnig wichtig, genau hinzuschauen. Wir sehen, dass gerade...
Meanwhile, speaking at the Munich Security Conference, Ukraine's Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba said that the time had come for Europe to send a clear signal that Ukraine will become part of the European Union.
Настав час надати Україні європейську перспективу. Чітко визначити і чітко сказати, що Україна буде членом Європейського Союзу. І це потрібно робити саме зараз, тому що це буде чіткий сигнал Росії, що б ви там не робили, до яких би провокацій не вдавалося, Україна є європейською державою в усіх сенсах, і Україна буде членом Європейського Союзу.
And for more on this, we are being joined by the CEO of Scarab Rising Inc., Irina Tsukerman, coming to us live from New York. Thank you for being with us on this broadcast. Now, I want to start with what President Volodymyr Zelensky said yesterday at the Munich Security Conference. He said that he wanted the West to make the proposed sanctions public as a real deterrent. Was there a reaction from the West to his request?
Actually, so far there has not been. The only thing that happened is that President Biden has been reiterating that he expects an invasion within the next few days. And the United States thus far has been very much solid on not sanctioning Russia preemptively. So far, there also has been no unrolling of congressional sanctions. In fact, it has not been certain that the SWIFTing and other sanctions proposed by Senate a couple of weeks ago, that they will actually take place. It's unclear what sanctions, if any, are actually going to be imposed, even if Russia actually invades.
Right. And amid these heightened tensions, what is the mood of the people in Ukraine? We are seeing evacuations taking place from the Donbas region to camps along the Russian border.
The country, of course, is filled with there's a lot of concern, especially in Eastern Europe. But at the same time, in major cities, people are trying to remain calm, to prepare for any eventuality. Many people understand that a potential for war is an existential crisis for Ukraine, and even civilians are prepared to defend the country. But at the same time, they are also trying not to give in to the panic, to propaganda, because part of the game here is psychological war, the attempt to pressure the population, the political circles into giving political concessions which they would not otherwise give, and trying to remain calm under this sort of pressure is also important.
Right. Do you see a probable end game to this through diplomacy? We heard some leaders saying that they've asked the question of whether Russia wants a dialogue with the West.
A dialogue and diplomacy do not mean inaction. First of all, diplomacy should have teeth. Any effective diplomacy means having consequences for action, for particular action or inaction, and steps by various parties. Diplomacy based entirely on endless discussions is not diplomacy, it's a waste of time. In the event US or other parties had measures that they were willing to show beforehand as a way to pressure, to put pressure on Russia to prevent aggressive steps from being taken, that could potentially lead to an ease. In fact, most likely it would. However, the European Union, NATO, and the United States all have shown so far unwillingness to exercise any level of strength or diplomatic pressure during these talks. So that's all they remain talks, not diplomatic negotiations. There is a big difference.
Absolutely. We'll leave it there. Irina, thank you very much for being with us on this broadcast and your valuable insights.
Thank you so much.
WION, now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.